Brought to you by Lean Body, the #1 protein shake in gyms across America.
What's going on, guys? Mitch Matulia here. I'm a Labrado Nutrition Lean Body athlete. Today's a beautiful day. I'm gonna take you guys through a full body workout outdoors. All right, guys, so for today's outdoor workout, we're gonna have 4 compound movements that we're gonna rotate between, okay? So first is gonna be deadlift, then we've got walking lunges, front squats, and then last but not least, shoulder presses. Okay, let's go. To position myself for a proper deadlift, I wanna get an athletic stance about shoulder width apart, not too wide, not too narrow. I wanna have my hands placed right outside my knees, okay? And watch as I go to grab this bar, I'm sinking my hips back because the initial part of this movement is gonna be very leg dominant, okay? And as I reach down, I'm gonna pick a spot about 6 feet in front of me to keep my eyes on so I keep my spine neutral. I'm driving through the heels, keeping my back as flat as possible. I'm bracing my core to relieve my back. I'm driving up, and I'm squeezing my glutes at the top of the movement. What a lot of guys make a mistake of their first time around doing a deadlift is they'll try to lift with their shoulders. You're trying to keep your arms out of the movement. They're just hinges, okay? So when I go down to grab this bar, I'm not gonna try to shrug the bar. I'm just driving with my arms relaxed. Another cue, guys, is to keep the bar as close to the shins as possible. Not trying to scrape my shins with the bar, but I'm trying to keep that weight as neutral as I can so I can be in a more powerful position. If that bar is away from our body, we're doing twice as much work trying to get that weight up. You can really play around with the rep range. Because this is a compound lift, I tend to go for about 6 to 10 reps on a good day. Now, if you wanted to make it a conditioning workout, you could go upwards of 15, 20 repetitions, but I try to stay in that 6 to 10 range, especially for all you lifestyle clients out there and athletes. I think that's a pretty good range to be in. I mean, I'm not trying to be a power lifter, so there's really no reason for me to go any less reps than that. And this is meant to be a pretty explosive lift, guys, so control the weight on the way down, but as I'm driving up through the lift, be explosive, okay? I'm trying to pull that weight quick. With the deadlifts in particular, it's a relatively technical lift, guys. So for those beginners out there, I would highly advise you get somebody experienced to look over your form. When you get in a rush, when you get in a hurry, if you lose focus, it's very easy to bend that back and injuries can occur from it. So, you know, respect the lift, respect the tempo, also respect the posture. You gotta have perfect posture when you're going through with this lift, guys. Give yourself a good ample rest time in between sets. With deadlifts, it kind of takes a lot out of you. It works everything from your traps down to your toes. So it's a full body compound lift. Take a good, I would say a minute, minute 30, 2 minutes max in between sets. Especially as you get heavier, you're gonna wanna take your time to recuperate and give it all you got for that set. Another cue, guys, is to keep your body tense throughout the movement. We shouldn't have a loose core. We should keep that core tight. We should make sure our grip's nice and tight. And we have tension in our legs, because with this being a full body movement, you really shouldn't have any loose endings. We should remain compacted and tight throughout the whole movement. So right now, we got dumbbell walking lunges. Some cues with these, I like to keep my hips back, and as I step forward, I like to sit in the heel of the foot that I'm stepping forward with. So I'm like to sink low. I don't want my knee to get too far out in front of my toe, okay? So I don't want us to lean forward too much where all that weight's transferred. I want to try to remain perfect with my posture, so keeping my back straight and my core engaged. And I'm just gonna sink down, emphasizing on this glute, just like this. I'm gonna take a step forward, same thing, sink into the heel, making sure this knee doesn't go too far out over the toe, because the emphasis with these walking lunges that I'm doing right now is going to be the glute and hamstrings. All right, guys, posterior chain. And as I descend, I don't want to touch the ground, but I want to get pretty close to the ground, all right? So mobility and range of motion is very important with the walking lunges, guys. We're doing front squats with dumbbell variation. What I'm trying to get out of this is more emphasis on my quads, okay? Now, you are gonna bring your glutes and your hammies into play, but because of the way the weight's positioned, we're gonna try to keep our weight back as much as possible. We're not gonna allow that weight to kind of take us forward. So keeping a flat back, a straight back is really important on this one, guys. And for the most part, it's very similar to a back squat from that point on. You're gonna sink your hips back, keeping the heels on the ground, driving up, squeezing at the top, and you're just gonna stay with a good tempo, controlled on the way down, and driving through the heels on the way up, guys. The main difference between quad versus hamstring focus is going to be your depth, okay? So notice as I go down, I don't want to get below 90 degrees. I want to stop short of it to emphasize more on the quads. As soon as I go lower, you're bringing the hamstrings and glutes further into play. So on this one, to emphasize more on the quads, I'm not going to get quite as low. I'm going to stop just shy of 90, driving up through the heels. And as far as the stance goes, I like to keep it about shoulder width with the toes slightly out. I try to avoid closing my toes off like this. I try to avoid also getting a little bit too wide because I want a majority of the emphasis on every part of the quad. Your foundation is everything. So having a nice firm base, feet about shoulder width apart, toes slightly outwards, somewhere we can drive this weight straight up without leaning too far forwards or backwards. And we are gonna arch the back slightly, okay? So chest up, arch back, and we're driving, and we wanna make sure the shoulder stays in a solid plane. We don't really wanna go forwards with it. We don't wanna go too far backwards with the shoulder either. And I like to grip the bar just right outside of my shoulders. So right here is pretty comfortable for me, but you know, you're gonna find something that resonates well with you. And also on the way down, I wanna stay controlled. I'm not gonna get too herky-jerky with the motion, guys. Tempo's everything. All right, guys, so as I approach this bar, like I said, we're gonna stay about shoulder width apart, toes slightly outwards, and I'm gonna go down to grab the bar right outside my shoulders here, and then we're gonna jerk it to the right above the chest. And as I press, I'm wanting to keep my core engaged throughout the whole movement, so I'm not letting that go limp. I'm gonna lower slowly right beneath the chin, and we're just gonna press up. Notice how my back is slightly arched. Hey guys, a huge component of the standing shoulder press is the stability. The core that's involved in this movement is second to none, because you're stabilizing the movement, trying to make sure this weight, and that's why I believe in free weights in this exercise as opposed to machines, is that you're working the serratus, you're working the upper, lower abdominals, also the obliques. And for those athletes out there and for those everyday individuals just trying to be more functional, this is very, very important to incorporate in your workout routine.